Hi, hello, hi, welcome. Okay, basically what happens is today's event is going to be for resellers only. Okay, basically what happens is we have to wait for a while because there are more and more people joining us. Now, while people are coming in, I will just let you know. Okay, the video is recorded. It's being stored on YouTube. So long as you keep the YouTube's URL, which is the link, okay, you will be able to come back and see it anytime. We will not be removing the video, okay, because there's quite a fair bit of information inside and very high chance you may need to review the video again. Okay, especially for the hardware portion and also on the DSM update. Okay, so let me move over to the PPT so you can roughly see. While waiting for more and more people to join in, I would like to go into the agenda so we can see what we'll be talking about and also at the same time let people come in and read. Okay, we've already been through the 30-second countdown. Okay, and then we just move on. Okay, because quite a number of you have actually joined me before on all the other various webinars. Okay, so basically today's agenda is mainly on the 2022 new product guide and new products coming out for 2022 soon. Okay, and in fact there is a one that's ready for ordering. Okay, if you need any data sheets, it's also available for those that are ready to order from your distributors. Okay, ready to be shipped very soon. Okay, so if you want to be one of the first few to get it, remember to order it from your distributor. Okay, your local distributor will be able to give you the price and also the availability. Okay, now I've broken up into two parts. So today will be on part 1 where we're talking about new product guide and also what's new on the DSM and also C2. Okay, it'll be a very quick one. All right, I don't want to spend too much time. The next one on part 2, which is going to happen next round. Okay, we will be talking more on the sales portion, how we're going to use the Synology NAS, even though we are using it as purely backup. What else can we do besides as a file server, and also the after sales portion? Okay, what happens after that? Okay, so let's move on to the hardware updates. Okay, so for 2022 first half of the year, we have a hardware update. Right, let me show you. Okay, so the hardware update, there are basically 3 new things. Okay, one is the addition of HD series, which is the HD 6500. Okay, and the next one is on the FS, the flash station. We have the FS 2500. Okay, and also for the router wise, we have another router, which is the new router, which is the RX 6600AX. Okay, I will spend a few slides talking about each and every one about the new models. Now, for those that are current and existing that you see on the slide, those are new current, nothing is being removed. Okay, our main focus is on, for us as SMB resellers, is Plus, SA, SX Plus, FS, and the UC, and also the new one will be on the HD. Okay, so let me move on to the next slide. Okay, so for the HD 6500, it's basically a 4U NAS. Okay, basically it's meant for petabyte people who are looking at very high density and large storage. Okay, so it's PB graded. Okay, you can put your hot data or your cold data inside, up to 60 drives. Okay, very suitable for full system backup, video production, post-production, large surveillance deployment storage. Okay, very highly scalable. Okay, you can go up to 300 bays by adding on the expansion bay, which is the RX 6022 SAS. Okay, now for the drives, for this kind of scale, is always on SAS drives. Okay, no SATA. Okay, so for this, the processor will be basically using the dual Intel Xeon Silver 10 core. RAM memory, it goes up to 512 GB. You can expand it all the way up. Now, form factor, like I mentioned earlier, 4U rack mount. Okay, you need to get the real kit also. Okay, you can't put it on a tray. It's too long. It's a full size. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, the expandability. You can add on 4 units of the RX 6022 SAS. Okay, it's connected by the PCIe slot. Okay, now let's move on to the next part. Now at the back, okay, there is basically 2 SSD drives for you to slot and store your DSM system. Okay, so there's redundancy there. Okay, and then as for the ports, okay, you will see that there are multiple LAN ports for you and also the USB drives. For NIC cards, okay, so you have your additional PCIe Express expansion ports. for you. You can add on additional if you need SSDs or SFP Plus or the SFP28. Okay, SFP28 cards are all available. You can also plug it in, so you get 25G, and of course you can also do your link aggregation for your 25G. Okay, but make sure you get a big enough switch to handle all this information. Okay, so next, this is a full size picture of how it actually looks like. Okay, so you can see that you can fully slot 60 slots of hard drives. Okay, it's full length. Okay, right. Okay, so why do you need a high density storage host? Okay, because before this HD 6500, you usually get the 3621 XS Plus, and then you add on all the additional 12 bays. Okay, in order to get similar size of storage for 60 bay, okay, you need to occupy up to 10U on the rack. Okay, and rack space we know is a premium right now, and every U costs money. All right, so with the HD 6500, it basically occupies only 4U, and it allows you to store up to 60 hard drives, and you can do petabytes. Okay, so you can actually save quite a fair bit of space, especially if you previously have been using quite a fair bit of space on your rack, which is like 10U for petabyte. Imagine if you are doing, let's say, 6 petabytes, you need 60U, okay, or more. All right, so those are very space occupying stuff. All right, so with this, you will basically cut down a lot of space. Now let's take a look at how you connect. So in terms of tolerance, there's fault tolerance for you by having multiple NIC ports, okay? And also it helps you reduce your latency. And to enhance and add on your performance, you can add on your expansion bay, the RX, okay, 6022 SAS, and they're all interconnected by 2 ports. Okay, so there are 2 ports for redundancy. So you can see that actually at the end, the last unit will actually go back all the way to the top, all right? So that in case anything dies in the middle, okay, you will not lose your connection. Okay, so there's a reason for all the connectivity, and you can see how it is being done. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so with the introduction of the HD 6500, okay, we hope to see much more large-scale storage from the resellers and also installers. If you have any case on such requirement, do let your distributor know. Reach out to us, and we will be able to definitely help you on that. Okay, and don't forget to do your deal registration, okay, to protect yourself for it. Okay, the next one, the small little cute little FS2500. Okay. It's ideal for very high I/O intensive application where you need to run VM or you need to run database or email servers. Okay, so those are very I/O. So now let's go back. Okay, now let's go back. Okay. Now, as mentioned earlier, okay, remember that this is a 1U 12 bay flash station. Okay, 1U 12 bay flash station where you use it for very high I/O intensive applications. Okay, so this is the reason for it. All right. So hang on. So hang on. I need to get back my. Okay. Now, don't forget the CPU is AMD Ryzen. Okay, and you can see the IOPS is very high. Okay, So, like I mentioned earlier, don't forget this video is recorded, so you can take back and review back on anything you need to see. So there are times where I will actually leave the slides on for additional 1-2 seconds for anyone in case they want to look through the information on the slide. Okay. So now, for the DSM 7.0 and above, okay, in case if you have units that are old and doesn't support DSM 7.0, then it's very high time for you to update your NAS so you can utilize your DSM 7.0. So in 7.0, for certain models there is high memory. Okay, if you have low memory, you can update and upgrade the memories to 16 GB RAM. Then it can support SSD dedupe. Okay, dedupe. Okay, you got SSD dedupe. Don't forget, it can only work with Synology SSD. The DSM will read and identify your SSD to make sure that it's from Synology, and you can add and set up your dedupe on specific volumes that is using BTRFS. Okay, and the best part is it's offline. The dedupe is offline. So which model does it work with? You can see on the side table that I have. Okay, of course, all the FS series, the new model FS2500, FS3400, FS3600, FS6400, and the SA models. For the RS models, of course, it has to be the newer models, the RS3621 and the 4021. Okay, make sure it's updated with memory of above 16 GB. Okay, if you just use the default memory is insufficient, you can't do the SSD dedupe. Okay, you need above 16 GB RAM. Okay, you can buy additional RAM and plug it in. Okay. Now, in terms of Synology branded SSDs and HDD, okay, let's refresh. Okay, so there is a new model, the SAT 5210. That is the 2.5 inch SATA SSD. It starts from 480 to 960 to 1.9 and also 3.8. Okay. Now for the NVMe, which you are supposed to use for your caching, all right. So there is the 3400 and the 3500 series. Okay, you have the two lengths. Okay, 2280 and 22110. Okay, that one also come in 400 GB and 800 GB. So far, been selling for the past 18 months or so, or more than 18 months. Sorry, for the past 2 years. Okay. I've been selling quite a fair bit for the NVMe SSDs. The main and most popular ones are the 400 GB. Very rarely it goes 800 GB unless it's very large scale, like 3621 with 100 TB. Yes, then you plug in the 800 GB NVMe. Okay, and then you need to get the longer ones. For the RS models, you need to get the longer NVMe. Okay, you cannot use the short one. Okay, don't order the wrong thing. Okay, you got to make sure the distributor sells you the correct item. Now for the hard disk, okay, you have your SATA and your SAS. Now for the SATA drives, Synology will be launching in this month the 4 TB SATA hard disk. Okay, so there will be 4, 8, 12, and 16. Okay, there is no updates anything beyond 16 as yet. Okay, I'll use the word as yet. Okay, of course I know that in the market you can find 18 up to 20. Okay, but those are unverified drives. They are not verified for use in the Synology by Synology. Okay, if you choose to use it on your own, that is on your own risk. Okay, which is something that I'll talk about later. Okay, I'm going to let this slide sit for a while. Okay, now for the hardware warranty is 5 years. Okay, 5 years, return back to the distributor that distribute the product. They will give you one-to-one exchange. Okay, there are buffer stock available in Singapore itself to do the warranty exchange. Okay, so don't worry about that. If customer will ask you about it, all right, the warranty is 5 years for the SSD SATA, for the NVMe SSD, for the SATA hard drive, and also the SAS hard drive. Okay, now for SAS hard drive, the minimum is 8 TB, 12 TB, and 16 TB. Okay, so all these are all available for purchase. Okay, 4 TB you can start ordering from this month onwards. Okay, so I'm just going to let it sit for a while and show it to you guys. I'm going to let it go. Okay, I'm going to let it at full size. Okay, just to let you see. Okay, now let it run for a while. So if you have any questions, you can also still ask us and talk to us in the chat group. If you're here, you can say hi. Okay, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. We may be able to reply you afterwards, so don't worry about it. Now, if you have any questions about the drives, just feel free to ask now. We can of course also reply you on this. Now let's go back to the main page. Okay, so let's see. Okay, now, right. So let's talk about the Synology brand hard drives and SSD. It has been kind of a bear bug for quite a few people, right? Many people have been asking me a number of questions. Why must I be using Synology branded hard drive and SSD? There are a lot of advantages, trust me. Okay, it's definitely a lot more reliable. Okay, I've been selling them since they came out day one. Okay, touch wood. Okay, lucky me. I haven't had any incident on the data. Okay, on the drives. All right, so far no tickets, nothing at all. Okay, and these are data that is been collected for the past 2 years from Synology support. Okay, they realized that the number of technical support for cases that involve situation that drives, they've reduced by 19%. Okay, in terms of performance, since day one where we've been talking about the drives, we know that the performance is upwards of 36%. Okay, and of course there is the seamless update from the DSM. Okay, so that itself is very, very important. You can do online hard disk firmware update. Okay, there's no additional downtime or rate review needed, even though you update your hard drive. Okay, that's the beauty of it. Okay, so take note about all these additional add-on advantages. Okay, which is very, very good. Okay, honestly speaking. Right, now let's take a look at this table. Okay, this table is specifically created. Okay, now for the DSM storage manager, if you're using anything that's third party, there is no updates from the vendor to the hard drive. You can't do that. Okay, literally you have to plug out the hard drive, remove it in order just to update the firmware if you need to update. Okay, if you run the situation, and that may hurt the data on the drive. Okay, for Synology hard drives, you can update it via the DSM storage manager. Okay, the NAS, you don't have to remove the drives. Okay, you can just do it on the fly. Okay, like similarly for if it's third party, you will definitely have to plug it out. You will have to use the update tool, and you have to have additional equipment required. Okay, and the downtime that will be involved. Okay, it's very, very long. Okay, there's no way any customers who are in production will do this. Okay, whereas for using Synology drives, you will have your maintenance window every 6 months for some will maybe once a year. You will do your DSM updates or security patches. Okay, you can just update it along the way. Okay, so for the whole NAS, max 3 minutes. Okay, you will download the firmware, you will push it to the drives, and that's it, you're done. Okay, it's as simple as that. Okay, nowhere else in the world you can find this situation or solution. Okay, now the next one I'm going to talk about and spend a bit of time is on the compatibility essentials. Okay, we need to really talk about this. Okay, so now for the compatibility, okay, what's going to happen is DSM, especially after 7.0 and 7.1, it's going to basically tell you that any drives that you're using that is not on the list at all, you'll just be not compatible. Okay, you can't create. Okay, I'm going to stress and say again, you can't create any storage space even though it's there. Okay, any drives that is unverified, you will show up red. Okay, you can still create. Okay, you can still create storage space. Okay, now will there be a system alarm notification? Yes, your end user or your customer will see that alarm notification unless they're willing to sign off for it. So make sure on your user acceptance test, you got to let them know that there will be this notification. They must acknowledge and know and be very well aware they are doing that, and they sign off of it. Okay. Now, storage space display state. Okay. They will not show. Okay. If it's not compatible, you'll show it's dangerous or you show it's serious, especially for 7.1. 7.0 and 7.1. For unverified drives, you show it as at risk. Okay, and if it's Synology drives, it will show as normal. Okay, now for hard disk information, if it's incompatible, it will show partial error. If it's unverified, it will show the word unverified. Okay, it will be red. and really shows the word unverified. Okay, if it's a Synology drive or compatible drive, it will show as normal. Okay, now for after sales service, okay, it's already written on their website. It's global. Okay, it's not just our region or our country. It's global for the whole world. If you're using incompatible or unverified drive, technically Synology will not support. Okay, if you have issues with the drives or you have data issues, they will not support. Okay, they will just tell you sorry, no. Okay, but if you are using Synology hard drives, they will provide you the after sales technical support and they will go into your NAS for you. Okay, now let's talk about models. Okay, anything that's 2022 2U and above, you will definitely have to use Synology drives for 4 TB, 8 TB, 12 TB, 16 TB. Okay, now anything that's below, of course, DS models, they are not enforced. Okay, so you can use any of the drives that you can get. Okay, so take note about that. Now for the RS models, be very, very careful. Okay, especially from 2421, 2821 onwards. All right, right up to 3621. Okay, so the very first few models that enforced was 3621 series and then the 4021 series. Okay, for the DS model, take note, 2422 and 3622. Okay, these two models you definitely have to use the Synology drives. Okay, be careful about that. All right, I'm going to leave this page here to let you guys see. Okay, so this is the full page where you can, if you want to capture it, you can capture it. I can't send it to you. All right, so you can have a table to show it to your customers. They must acknowledge and accept it. All right, because if they are going to complain or say anything, it is already written in and on the Synology website that they do not support. Okay, they do not support if you are using incompatible or unverified drive. Okay, so let's move on over. Okay, right. So let's move on to my next slide. Right, let me show you how it actually looks like. Okay, in this case here, you can see that for the updates for the 6.2.4 DSM 7.1, you will show up as unverified drive and you will show that one of the drives in your storage pool contains an unverified drive. Okay, when this happens, okay, that's it. Synology comes in and the support comes in and sees that if you have any issues, not hardware issues, don't talk about PSUs spoil or motherboard spoil or connector spoil. Okay, we're talking about, let's say, if you have storage pool issues or you have your RAID issues, they will not support. Okay, this is not something to joke about, but I'm just showing you how it will look like. Okay, so your customer will definitely see the word unverified and unverified. Okay, right. So after talking about the NAS, let's move on to the router. Okay, so for the router side, you have the latest Wi-Fi 6 Synology RT6600AX. The last and current model that is still selling is the RT2600AC. Okay, so this one is going to be the new flagship router model from Synology. It's Wi-Fi 6. It has a quad-core 1.8G CPU, 1 gig memory, as per the previous router also has 1 gig. It comes with 6 antennas, so you have two T2R and 4 T4R. Okay, so it basically has dual band. You have 2.4G and 5G. Okay, channel bandwidth maximum up to 160 megahertz. Okay, so if you have client devices that can push 160 megahertz, that'd be great. Okay, you can enjoy the full speed of Wi-Fi 6. Okay, now at the back of the router, you can see here on the yellow portion, you have your 4 Gigabit Lan Ports. Okay, you have your Gigabit Lan Ports here. Okay, okay, so basically you have your standard 1 gig WAN. Okay, and for Synology this time around, they actually added a one port that is 2.5G. Okay, configurable either as LAN or WAN. Okay, and basically what you of course, as usual, you can have dual WAN or you can have failover. All right, I'm not sure if the firmware is going to support WAN bonding. Okay, I haven't seen it yet. Once I get it, I'll update again. Okay, there is a USB 3.2 port. Okay, yes, WPS, and you also support VLAN. Okay, so the router itself supports VLAN in case if you have any VLANs. Okay. Now, for the configuration for the WAN, okay, you have your standard 1G, okay, and you can configure and change it to 2.5G if you need, okay. So this is how the router looks like, okay. Let me go back to myself. Okay, right. So you see, this has been the past few routers. You have your MR2200 AC, one on mesh point, single WAN single LAN port router. You have your RT2600 AC, okay, and then right now you have your RT6600AX, okay. Right, let's talk about the DSM and C2 update, okay. Let me spend a bit of time. Okay, so you have your Active Insight, which for most of you who has been trying the DSM since the 7.0 or the beta, Active Insight has been in there. It's totally free. You can actually monitor all your NASes, especially for those that I know the resellers and installers that are doing managed service portion. It's very, very useful because you can monitor across the board all the NASes that you're looking after for your clients, the kind of speed they're getting, the IOPS, and if anything goes wrong or if their storage is going to get full very, very fast. Okay, this is very, very useful, especially if you're MSP. Okay, I've always been encouraging you guys to move on and do a lot more MSP rather than just selling the NAS and doing one-time configuration. Okay, this one will be very, very helpful for those who are monitoring a lot of NASes. Okay. Right, so in terms of security updates, okay, so there is a new update for the security for Active Insight. You have to go on and click it, then only then you can have additional support from support team for Active Insight. Okay, so this will have, but this is still in beta stage. Okay, this is still in beta stage, remember. So remember, this is still beta stage if you are willing to join, and so you can explore more options. Okay, now the next thing about the Active Insight is to have analyzed and look at the historical trends for workload and performance bottleneck. Okay, so these are very, very good in case customer comes back and say, hey, what happened last week or something happened last week, but if you don't go and keep on to it and hang on to it, you have no idea. Okay, so you can pull it back and show the customer when was it, what happened, and you can analyze it. Okay, very, very useful. All right. Next we look at is the security update. So there is the new secure sign-in. It basically does 2FA. All right, so it allows you to do 2FA security Synology sign-in app. Okay, so there's this app where you can download and basically do the 2FA. Okay, previously there are quite a number of you using the Google Authenticator. All right, so Synology right now has its own 2FA app for you to do sign-in. Okay, next is the Smb Aggregation Portal. Okay, so basically you can have multiple NASes where you can add up together to one. All right, so you can share the folders that you want on the aggregation portal. This is available only on 7.1. If your NAS cannot support 7.0 update, you can't go 7.1, then there's nothing you can do. You need to update your hardware. You need to do a hardware type refresh. Okay, not just a software refresh. Okay, this one is a pure hardware refresh if you can't do 7.0 and above. Okay, right. So now in terms of peta volumes, okay, you can basically go from a maximum of, some of the older NAS is 100 TB. Yes, being expanded to 200 TB, and right now you can go up to upwards of 1 PB. Now to do such scale, you need to update your RAM. Okay, I always tell most of them to always try to maximize your RAM if you're going to do anything above 100 TB. Of course, some will just stick to 16 GB. Okay, some will just stick to 32 GB, and well, some will just go all out to 64 GB. Okay, so take note of that. More RAM, basically more resources. Okay, right. For the DSM 7.1, you have your faster repair. Okay, your repair will become faster, and also at the same time you can still use. All right, you repair as you use the rate. Okay, only repair the space that you used. Okay, so imagine if you have a NAS that has 1 PB of storage space, but only 10 TB was used, the system will only restore the 10 TB, okay, and reduce the amount of time to rebuild the whole entire array. Okay, so that's one good thing about it, rather than to spend the whole time to wait for the whole 1 PB. Okay, the usual expected time for 2 TB, if it's a low-end model, it can take upwards of 22 hours. okay, to rebuild 2 TB. All right. So of course, the faster hard disk you have, the higher end NAS that you have, the faster your rate will be. Okay. So usually my first question I get from resellers or SI is, how long does it take to rebuild a RAID? Okay, it depends on the model. Okay, it really depends on the model and the RAM that you have. Okay, that's very important. Okay, next, for the Synology C2. Okay, let me hang on. Okay, for the Synology C2. So before that, all the while, Synology has 2 data centers. One is in Frankfurt, Germany. One is in US, Seattle. Okay, so basically, they have recently added during the COVID last year Q4. They added the data center in Taiwan. Okay, in Taipei, and basically just to tell you that for the Synology C2 globally, there are 3 DCs. Okay, to support you. Okay, of course, similarly, you can choose which DC you want to go. You can choose, I want to go Frankfurt, I want to go Seattle, or I want to go Taiwan. Okay, for us in Singapore, the best is, of course, we want to go Taiwan because it's the nearest. Okay, and you can test out the speed if you want. Okay, and then you can see what happens. Okay, now in terms of compliance, it's ISO certified. Okay. Okay, you can have a support case to follow up. Okay, and also it meets the GDPR. Okay, this is very important. Quite a number of customers will want to look at that. Now, in terms of data reliability, it's upward of 99, and it's not 4 nines. Okay, we can count the number of nines. Okay, let's count together. Okay, so that's 2, 4, 6, 7 nines. Okay, that's a very fantastic number. Okay, 99.999999%. Okay, it's very high. All right, so then it's only selected. The data is only stored at the selected data center. If you choose Seattle, it will be stored only at Seattle. If you choose Germany, it will be in Germany, and if you choose Taiwan, it's Taiwan. Now, for those who have previously had data in Germany and US and they want to shift it to Taiwan, please create a support ticket and inform them, and they will follow through with you to do that. Okay, you need Synology support to help you on that. If you have information in Germany or US that you want to shift to Taiwan. Okay, right. So the next thing that I see is going to be big is going to be the Synology C2 hybrid cloud service. Okay, so you can add additional storage from your C2, right? So you can backup using hyper backup, all right, to protect your Synology NAS on premises to your C2 storage. Okay, for your remote backup and also cross-site sharing, right? So you have a hybrid share. Okay, so you can sync your shared files across different sites. Okay, that is something that is going to be very useful, especially now in a period where we actually went through all this and we will know that how important it is. Okay, so initially when it was first mentioned about 4 years ago, people were still skeptical and do we need this? But after 2019 December, where we see the situation, and especially for the last 2 years, there was even more situation where we require such services. It becomes more relevant. Okay, I mean, become very prevalent for us. Okay, so basically you have the idea is to mix hyper backup and your C2 storage. Okay, so you have your cloud remote backup, and you can still have your data browsing and restoration from cloud. Okay, so after having a physical NAS, okay, you can backup using hyper backup to your C2 storage. Okay, so that's the idea behind it. Okay, of course, similarly for the standard backup from NAS to NAS, NAS to cloud, right, you also want to have your syncing. Right, so in this slide you can see that you have office in the US, Germany, and UK. Okay, and you want them to crisscross and share things, so you can use your hybrid share. All right, so it basically does is sync and share files across sites. Okay, cold data, hot data storage, both doesn't matter. Okay, and of course there is also the smart caching, where most of the commonly used stuff will be cached, and so you can actually access it faster. Okay, so these are the new things that came out recently for DSM 7.1. All right, like I mentioned again, you need DSM 7.0 to go 7.1. If your current NAS does not support 7.1, then I'm sorry, you can't use all this new stuff. Okay, and similarly, there must be a reason for it. Okay, so that's the gist behind it. Okay, so last but not least, for today's session, you have your Synology NAS and C2 for hybrid data management. Okay, so you have your NAS. Okay, it's already with integrated software applications and your OS, all right, and the physical hardware, and add on with the Synology C2 portion on the storage as a service, and also the data center that's on Synology, and there you can create your hybrid cloud. Okay, so that's the idea behind it. All right, do study this. It should be the next thing that's coming up, and definitely there will be customers asking for it. Of course, there's a reason behind it. Okay, so just if you have any questions about it, just feel free to ask. Okay, it's very useful. All right, especially not just to depend on one single NAS, but at least you know that behind the NAS, the hardware, you have your Synology C2 to depend on, and you can subscribe for the services. Okay, right. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Okay, and we will definitely answer them for you. Right. Okay. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We will definitely be here for you, and we will answer them as we see them. Okay. The video is recorded, like I mentioned earlier. Okay. You can definitely review it anytime you want. We will still have our part 2. Okay. The dates, once it's confirmed, we will make an announcement again, and then you can join. Okay. Other than that, I think we should be fine. Let me see. Okay. We're okay. Right. Thank you very much for joining and spending your precious time with me. I hope you have seen something new and also grow with us. Okay. And that's about it. Thank you.